rise and sing together. Let It Be a Dance. And that's 311 in your hymnal book. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the skies with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or, as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. Welcome to each and every one of you. We embrace all that you bring with you, all of your unique beliefs and background and lifestyle and experiences. By the way, we've been just bombarded by crows. There's about 50 of them out there, and they're out there. We're doing a message on animals today, so they have come to hear. Alfred Hitchcock? No, it's not Alfred Hitchcock. They might be here for the Halloween announcement, not the sermon, I don't know. But we'll get to that. Anyway, welcome everybody. We're glad to have you. Those of you who are in the room with us, those of you who might be visiting with us for the first time, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have all of those who are live streaming with us this morning as well. So, welcome to one and all. I do want to just make a couple of announcements here this morning. Firstly, you notice our unity candle is lit at the front of our sanctuary, something we do when we've lost one of our members during the week. And for those who remember Jan Trutton, she hasn't been able to come for a while because she moved to be closer to family in Vancouver, Washington. But she passed away this past week at 93 years old. And I know any time that she was visiting Spokane, she came to our services. So I count her as a member to this day. She and her husband, Bud Trutton, of course, whose death precedes hers, were very active and supportive members of our congregation for many years. So we want to keep this candle lit throughout our service today in honor of her life and her light and her memory. Also, we're having our potluck. Monthly potlucks are kicking up again on our third Sunday of the month, starting today. So please stick around for a potluck. If you didn't remember, I'm sure there's enough. That's what potlucks are about. So please stay around and participate in that after the service. It's also the kickoff of our annual church auction. Folks have been kind enough to donate a variety of items, opportunities, those sort of things that you can bid on as a church fundraiser. Thank you all for your generosity in donating those items, as well as those who will bid on them. You can see them written on the wall back there during social hour, or you can go online and find those as well and begin placing your bids at noon today. I think that's all I have. So I'm going to invite, I don't know if she's a good witch or a wicked witch, or she said maybe she's a princess, but Nancy Avery is going to come forward and give us a little bit about another fun opportunity coming up.
I brought my friends, the crows. Whoa. Yep, I have tickets on sale today after second service for the Halloween Jam concert that's going to be happening here on Thursday, October 30th from 6:30 to 8. They will also be on sale next Sunday after both services at the door and online. Tickets are $15 each or 2 for $25. Wine and beer are available for a suggested donation of $5 each. Apple cider and light snacks will also be available, and those are free. Our performers are our very own Rashay Thomas and Jackie Sunberg, Dan Lane and Bob Marlowe. Costumes are strongly advised. We even have eye patches, pirate eye patches, for sale for $3. It's a family event, and we'll have crafts available for the kids too. If you want to make a donation of about $2 or $3, that would be welcome to offset our costs. So it's not going to be too late. The 30th, look for information in the Sun. Thank you.
Sounds like fun. I think, is this what we call a murder of crows? It's a murder of crows. Wow. All right. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and take a few extra minutes here this morning to greet one another, as is our usual custom. So please say hi to one another. Don't be shy if you're visiting us for the first time. We're very glad to have you. All right, more opportunity to visit with one another during our social hour and our potluck luncheon. And I actually forgot an important announcement too. Stephanie Groenholz has a table set up back there in which she will provide information about a couple of programs. One is called Faith at Home, putting some practical practices into working with your family at home, and also talking about our Neighboring Faiths program, which is also something we've done with our kids as long as I've been a Unitarian. This is very important. We invite kids to go visit other religions and invite those religious leaders to come and talk to our kids. Let them know that there's nothing to be afraid of with being exposed to different ideas, and at the same time it sort of reduces the mystique of some of the crazy things we believe sometimes. So good programs to get involved with. So Stephanie has a table in the back, and she'll be happy to share more information about these programs. Okay, we are going to move forward now by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
Reason, along with science, is under assault, a bizarre and tragic occurrence in the 21st century. This comes at a time when the Earth is in greater peril than ever before from the devastation of climate change. Human avarice and the quest for power mock virtue, while the repair of the world is urgent and daunting. Pseudoscience, climate denial, alternate facts, fake news and lies suggest that reason doesn't matter, yet it does. While reason is not infallible, it is an important guide and tool for repairing the world. This is not a momentary interlude, but the work of generations. Reason, critical thinking, science, philosophy, technology, political will, and more are crucial to this endeavor. This writing was actually created and sent out in the Touchstones Journal in September of 2021. It is even more critical and more real today.
All right, if you can please stand and let's sing together again. Let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be understanding. Let all the nations gather. Let them be face to face. Open our lips. Open our minds to ponder. Open the door of concord, opening into grace. Perish the sword, perish the angry judgment, perish the bombs and hunger, perish the fight for gain. Let there be light. Open our hearts to wonder. Perish the way of terror. Hollow the world God made.
We're now going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning and begin as we have been on behalf of the people of Ukraine and Russia and that region of the world, dealing with the war and violence there, the people of Israel and Palestine and other regions of the world that are suffering from the violence there, the people of Darfur and South Sudan also suffering. We don't hear as much about them, but they're undergoing ethnic cleansing and displacement and starvation. And of course, the many really frightened immigrants in our own country who are suffering the worst of what's going on under the tyranny of our government these days. I do want to offer a candle of gratitude for the success of the demonstrations that took place yesterday, including right here in Spokane. Many of you were probably there. I think just about everybody in Spokane was there. So it was really quite extraordinary, and to have that magnified throughout the country is a real sign of hope, especially people who, been demonized and ridiculed by the Gestapo, who remained peaceful and rather pleasant, and I found it to be almost a festive occasion, the excitement and enthusiasm that we generated for each other by being together in such droves. So a candle celebrating, knowing that was going on in communities all over this country yesterday. The dream is not dead. So let's take a moment of silence on behalf of others, and as always, you're welcome to name those you're thinking of aloud if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. This is our third Sunday when we have a special collection on behalf of an organization or cause that is in alignment with our values. And today's special collection is on behalf of Transitions, which is a local nonprofit to end poverty and homelessness for women and children in Spokane or the Spokane area. They operate several programs designed to support our community by providing housing, job training, and friendly, safe spaces. Some of the programs you may have heard of under Transitions umbrella include the Women's Hearth, Miriam's House, Transitional Living Center, Home Yard Cottages, and New Leaf Vocational Services. So this is something I'm sure we can all get behind. If it's something you are moved to contribute to, please use the special collection envelope that came in your order of service. And if you're watching online or want to contribute later in the week, you can do so on our church website. Of course, you use spokane.org. Just be sure and note in the memo what it is for. So thank you, as always, for your generosity in advance. We now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maggie. Before I start my song, I just want to let you all know my friend and I got into the Fall Folk Festival at Spokane Community College. She's a songwriter as well. She plays violin and guitar. So we're a duo called Marmalady's Jam. And it's November 8th and 9th. We're going to play on the 8th in the evening at 5:30. So if anybody wants to come, it'd be nice to have some familiar faces. This first song is a song I wrote to my kids, Jude and Meredith. Aiming to be perfect, trying to be worthy of the love that you give me so unconditionally. Desperate to feel perfect, begging to feel deserving of the love that you give me so unwaveringly. But I do anything to avoid becoming everything I've been running from. I'll keep running away so I can get closer to you. I'll keep running away so I can get closer to you. You have always been forgiving in moments of weakness. You never held judgment when I was not at my best. I thank my lucky stars you stayed by my side. You never gave up on me or my broken mind. I do anything to avoid becoming everything I've been running from. I'll keep running away so I can get closer to you. I'll keep running away so I can get closer to you. I'm not perfect, I'll never feel deserving of the love that you give me so wholeheartedly. But I do anything to avoid becoming everything I've been running from. I'll keep running away so I can get closer to you. I'll keep running away so I can get closer to you. I'll keep running, I'll run to you, running if you want me to, running if you'll let me stay. I'll keep running, I'll run to you, running if you want me to, running if you'll let me stay. I'll keep running, I'll keep running, I'll keep running away. I'll keep running, I'll keep running, I'll keep running away.
Thank you, Maggie. I made the mistake at the first service of paying really close attention and then making eye contact, and I had to pull myself together to do the children's story. So I'm a little better prepared now. Thank you. Let me start by inviting any children who want to come forward to listen to today's story. We are going to talk about a big word and a big concept. And that concept is censorship. But before we go back to religious education, I want to share a story with you called The Rescue of the Banned Books. It all started one windy October dark and stormy night, right around Banned Books Week, which was just 2 weeks ago, and we only get to celebrate it 1 week out of the year, which is a little bit crazy in and of itself. Should be every day. But down at the town library, something strange was happening. In the back corner, under the tall shelves of fairy tales and fables, sat a cardboard box with a handwritten sign, "Books that must be removed." Inside were some of the saddest, loneliest books you could ever imagine. There was the Book of Dishonorable Dragons, still smelling faintly of smoke. There was the little lad's logbook of too many questions, whose pages had been read again and again by curious children, but now languished in the box covered in dust. And there was the Witchery of Wistock's Way, with curses and magic spells to ward away the rascals and wretches, and charms that, when mixed just right, could bring enough snowfall to cancel school just in time for that math test. There were more, sadly, all banned books now, removed from the shelves and dropped into the dreary box because some grown-ups thought they might be too scary, too sad, too confusing for children, or worst of all, that they made an adult feel uncomfortable. "Why me?" asked Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. "They say I have unnatural talking animals and that I speak of death too soon." "Why me?" asked The Light in the Attic by Shel Silverstein. "They say my poems teach children to be disobedient." "Why me?" asked Ban This Book by Alan Gratz. "They say I encourage children to question authority." The books whispered to one another in the soft rustle of paper. They were beginning to lose hope of ever being placed on a shelf again, let alone opened and loved by a child. But then, in the darkest hour of the night, came a glimmer of flashlights and the sound of footsteps. 4 children crept in, pajamas under their jackets and backpacks over their shoulders. "Over here! I told you it was true," whispered Iris, the oldest. They really did put them in a box. But why? Cried Alex, the youngest. These are the best books. Look, Captain Underpants, Junie B. Jones, even the scary Goosebumps, my favorites. Shh, 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 said Iris quietly, because if there's ever a time to be quiet in a library, it's when you're trying to be sneaky. The grown-ups think they're shielding us from harm, Iris said, sounding almost grown-up herself. But stories don't hurt people. Stories help people. They help us understand the world and ourselves. They help us figure out our problems and answer our questions when it feels like no one else can. The books shivered with hope. Don't worry, said Iris. We'll take care of you. And carefully, one by one, the children lifted the books from the box, brushed off the dust, and tucked them safely into their backpacks. Before the sun rose, they quietly returned each book to its proper place on the shelves. Dragons to the fantasy section, witches to the folklore corner, brave girls and silly boys right back where they belonged. When morning came, the adults were none the wiser. The shelves looked just the same, maybe a little fuller, maybe a little brighter, but something had changed. The children knew what they had almost lost forever. And when they checked out books that week, they read with more courage, more curiosity, and more appreciation for those stories than ever before. And the grown-ups, those well-meaning, worried adults, noticed that the children were not frightened or confused at all. They were thinking, they were talking, they were growing. No one ever found that books to be removed box again, but sometimes, late at night, when the wind rattles the library windows, you can still hear a faint whisper from the shelves. Thank you for rescuing us. Keep reading bravely. Now if you'll sing us out.
I would like to now invite you into a time of meditation. Find a comfortable position. Put your feet on the floor if you wish. Close your eyes. And welcome to a moment of tranquility and self-reflection. Breathe deeply and rest in the quiet rhythm of being. Feel the pulse of life beneath your skin, the same current that moves through wind and stone and sea. Release the noise of striving. You're already a part of the great unfolding. Each breath is a reminder you belong to this moment, to this earth, to the vast unbroken wholeness that holds all things in gentle balance.
This next song was inspired. Been going to therapy for the first time in my life consistently for the last 6 months. Yeah. Doing some deep work, some hard work. I've had anxiety since I was a little kid, and so one of the things we realized is I struggle to be fully open and myself with even people I'm very close with. It's terrifying. So I've been working on it, and it's been very rewarding. This song's called Really Real.
I can show you only the part of me I want you to see. I am well versed in the art of selective vulnerability. Tell me what you want, what you like, and I'll take on your personality. If I am just a version of you, you won't be able to leave me. You're making this harder on me. I kinda wanna show you what makes me me. We could keep it real for a change. We could say it hurts when we're in pain. Let all our cards and quit this playing. We could let our hearts have a say in deciding how we really feel. We could keep it really real. You can tell me little white lies when you want a safe face. You can say it's fine when it's not, because you're not one to complain. Hold back your thoughts and say what you think I want you to say. 'Cause you know I am capable of taking it all the wrong way. I'm making this harder on you. You kinda wanna show me what makes you you. We could keep it real for a change. We could say it hurts when we're in pain. Let all our cards and quit this playing. We could let our hearts have a say in deciding how we really feel. We could keep it really real. I've been living a lie my whole life. I've been living in lies all my life. I've been living a lie your whole life. I've been living in lies all your life. You've been living a lie your whole lives. We've been living in lies all our lives. So we could keep it real for a change. We could say it hurts when we're in pain. Lay out all our cards and quit this playing. We could let our hearts have a say in. We could keep it real for a change. We could say it hurts when we're in pain. Lay out all our cards and quit this playing. We could let our hearts have a say in deciding how we really feel. We could keep it really real. We could keep it 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 real.
Well, they've done it to me again. What wonderful music we have. And Maggie, yours, as I told you earlier, just beautiful songwriting, your incredible voice, just wonderfully talented, but I just love the depth of your songwriting. I mean, you're as much a poet as you are a singer, so yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I was 13 years old the first time I ever saw a white buffalo image, right? It was in the 1977 movie, The White Buffalo, starring Charles Bronson and as Wild Bill Hickok and Will Sampson as Crazy Horse, whose characters are both haunted by the same frightening dream, or nightmare really, of a gigantic white buffalo powerful enough to shake the ground and to burst through mountains. It still holds up today, by the way. I think it's worth seeing if you haven't. But years later, while in my late 20s, I began having occasional dreams of a white buffalo. And in one particular dream, it appeared to me near a cabin on a lake at the foot of a beautiful snow-capped mountain. It was wearing a collar with license tags, and it led me to a nearby stream. And the dream left me with a very positive feeling, although I was initially troubled by the image of this sacred being wearing a collar. I mean, that's just what a white man would do with a buffalo, right? As if it were merely a pet or something that belonged to me. But my mentor back then, a Jungian psychotherapist, suggested that it could also be a symbol of belonging and of affection, that the white buffalo, a manifestation of the Great Spirit in some Native American traditions, holds meaning for me, and that I needed to pay attention to its invitation to follow it along the stream of life. Now, this interpretation resonated with me, and I began contemplating the dream's deeper meaning. That setting, a cabin on a lake beneath snow-capped mountains, has always been my idyllic place to live. Probably wouldn't want to live there because there wouldn't be any grocery stores, but nevertheless, that's where I think I want to live. That's my heaven, if you will. So to borrow from Native American mythology, I found myself outside Great Spirit's lodge at the foot of Thunder Mountain. Fortunately, I was not invited into the lodge, not yet anyway. Instead, Great Spirit, manifesting as white buffalo, takes me to the stream of life. Right? I'm not going to the happy hunting ground permanently, but to the stream of life, an invitation to walk beside her by following her ways throughout my life. Now, I realize that this sounds far more ethereal than is usual for me. Please don't get used to it. Some might come up to me afterwards and say, I'd like to hear more sermons like that. Ain't gonna happen. I've only got one or two, I'm sorry. But I really don't know any other way to talk about this, what was really a cherished experience for me. And before I say more about it, I want to tell you something about the Lakota legend of the white buffalo, so that you understand what it means to walk beside her along the stream of life. So if you want to show that first image, Todd, I'd appreciate it. The story goes that during a terrible famine, two desperate hunters noticed a walk-in, a sacred being, floating toward them from the distance. And by the time the walk-in was close enough to make out, it had become the most beautiful woman that they had ever seen. She had 2 red dots of face paint on her cheeks. She wore a bright white buckskin outfit embroidered with colorful designs, delicately drawn with a porcupine quill. Her long black hair hung loose except for a single strand tied back with buffalo fur. Overcome with lust, one of the young hunters made the mistake of becoming disrespectful and was immediately struck by lightning. Because the other hunter had treated her well and with respect, the walk-in told him to go back to the people of the great nation and tell them to prepare for her arrival by constructing a medicine lodge. 4 days later, the Lakota people saw the walk-in, who they named White Buffalo Calf Woman, approaching and carrying a bundle with her. And when she arrived, Chief Standing Hollow Horn honored her and said, "Sister, we are glad you are here and happy to hear your instruction." Then she entered the medicine lodge that they had constructed, and she circled its interior like the sun. And after showing them how to make an altar out of the red earth, she opened her bundle and she removed the chanupa, the sacred pipe. She filled it with red tobacco and demonstrated the right way to smoke it by walking around the lodge 4 times like the great sun representing the sacred hoop, the circle without end. Its fire is the fire without end, passed from generation to generation, and its smoke is the living breath of great-grandfather mystery. White Buffalo Calf Woman then showed the people the right way to pray by lifting the chanupa up toward Grandfather Sky and downward toward Grandmother Earth, and then in all 4 directions to complete the sacred hoop. With this holy pipe, she told them, you will walk like a living prayer, with your feet resting upon the earth and the pipe stem reaching into the sky. Your body forms a living bridge between the sacred beneath and the sacred above. Wonkin Tonkin, the great spirit, smiles upon us because now we are as one. Earth, sky, all living things, the 2-legged, the 4-legged, the winged ones, the trees, the grasses. Together with the people, they are all related, one family. The pipe holds them all together. And after teaching them more about the sacred pipe and its meaning, she turned to the women of the tribe and she said, you are from the Mother Earth. What you do is just as great as what the warriors do. She then turned to the children of the tribe and said, you are the most important and precious ones of all because you are the coming generation. Someday it will be your responsibility to hold the sacred pipe and to pray with it. She then turned once more to the chief and to all the people and reminded them to take care of the great sacred pipe and to remember to use it in all of their ceremonies. She said, I am the 4 ages of creation and will return to you every generation. Every generation I will come back to you. You will see me again. She then departed toward the direction that she had come, her beautiful shape silhouetted in the orange sun. And as she became more distant, the people saw her take the shape of a buffalo, turning brown, then red, then yellow, and finally she became a white buffalo calf, all the colors of all the people of the world, just before disappearing. And for this reason, it is said that she has rainbow eyes, because she sees all people of all colors as one. After she vanished, the plains were immediately filled with an enormous buffalo herd, some of which sacrificed themselves so that people could have everything they need to survive: meat for food, skins for clothes and shelter, and bones for tools. And this is why the people of the great nation, the Lakota, believe a white buffalo calf is the most sacred being that anyone can encounter. Alas, in real life, if that's what ours is, the last white buffalo known to have been born had been in 1933. Given that the national herd had become almost extinct by then, reduced to just about 500. It was believed that the anomalous gene resulting in the rare birth of a white buffalo must have been wiped out. But when I was in my 30s, several years after my dream, I learned that in August of 1994, a white calf had been born on the hobby farm of Dave and Valerie Heider in Janesville, Wisconsin, just north of Chicago, Illinois. The Lakota people named her Miracle. And I wanted to go visit Miracle the moment I learned about her, because the impact of my dream had stayed with me all those years. But it would be 6 more years before I finally had the opportunity to do so. My young son, Julian, young at the time, and my friend Jim Carter accompanied me on the journey. I called in advance to ask if it would be all right if we spent the night on the farm, if we camped on the farm. And a kindly old man answered the phone and gave us permission, adding, "If anyone gives you a problem, just tell them that Grandpa said it would be okay." And upon our arrival, we entered a small gift shop that had been set up on the property and asked where to pitch our tent. Valerie Hyder politely informed us that they don't allow strangers to overnight on the property. She wasn't happy when I told her that we'd driven all this way and Grandpa told us it would be okay. Shaking her head, she said, "Wait here while I go talk to my husband." And a few minutes later, she returned and instructed us to go out and speak with Dave Hyder. We found him sitting atop his noisy tractor, a tall, thick, rugged, gruff hobby farmer who worked as a truck driver by day. He gave us a suspicious once-over while determining whether or not to make good on Grandpa's promise. Being a staunch Republican, it turns out, he was especially leery of my friend who made the mistake of introducing himself as Jimmy Carter. Upon explaining he's no relation to the Democratic president and that he prefers going by Jim, in a bit more ice-breaking conversation, Dave Hyder agreed to let us stay. He even invited us to sleep in a teepee that the Native American dignitaries had permanently set up on the site for their visits. And of course, the idea of spending the night inside a real teepee thrilled my son. Todd, would you show our next image, please? So before setting up camp, I spoke a bit more with Dave Hyder, who told me some of Miracle's story about the day that she'd been born and how on a whim he called the local paper in case they wanted to come and take a picture of a rare white buffalo calf, and how surprised and overwhelmed he and Valerie were to soon have tens of thousands of Native Americans, among others, coming to their small farm from all over the world. He also admitted that first all they could see were dollar signs, but once they realized that what Miracle represented, they felt morally obligated to share her free of charge with everyone, even though they had offers to buy her from all over the place, including from Ted Nugent and Ted Turner. Dave said the Indian nation of South Dakota offered to trade their entire buffalo herd just for Miracle. But he kept her. They kept her on their humble farm, tucked on the outskirts of one of America's small working class cities, riding his tractor, driving his truck because it was the right thing to do. Even if he didn't like Jimmy Carter. He told me about the many times he'd seen her come down from the hill, stand at the wire fence. It's one of those fences with posts and then like 3 wires that go across it, so you could almost walk through it, almost invisible. It was electric, I think, but I don't think they had any electricity running through it. And he said he inevitably, she'd come down and stand in front of one person out of a crowd of 100. He says, inevitably, that person would come to me afterward and tell me that they're dying of cancer or something like that, and they wanted to come and visit Miracle before their death. And astounded by all of this, I said, well, I suppose she's the closest thing to a pope or to a Dalai Lama that we have here in the United States. He's been here, Dave replied. I said, who? I asked who. Him, that guy you just said. The Dalai Lama? I asked in disbelief. He told me that he'd once noticed, in his words, a couple of little monks running around the place. which wasn't terribly unusual because they had visitors from all over the world. But he remembered this particular occasion because one of the monks eventually came to him and said, "My master wishes to speak with you." That was an unusual turn of phrase, to say the least, but Dave Hyder followed the man to see his master, who told him, "Miracle and I are on the same path this lifetime, and it has been very important for me to spend time with her. I want to thank you for all you and your family are doing for her and for allowing us to come here." The next day, the servant returned and handed Dave a silk scarf, which is on display in their gift shop, explaining that it was a gift from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who apologized for not being able to reveal his true identity, but that he needed to keep his presence concealed because he had risked everything by leaving his bodyguards behind in order to spend sacred time alone with Miracle. Just before sunset, Julian and Jim and I sat on a log just outside the wire fence separating us from Miracle's pasture. And the fence was covered with hundreds of ribbons and dream catchers that past visitors had tied upon it. It might surprise you to know that Miracle was no longer white, unless they are albino. White buffaloes are born pure white instead of brown, as other buffaloes are. But within the first year, they turn from white to yellow to red to brown. All the colors of all the people of the world. Just like white buffalo calf woman does before disappearing. And by the time I met her, Miracle looked like any other buffalo, and she was accompanied by a small herd consisting of herself, her own young calf, another female with a slightly older calf, and their bull. And while setting up camp, I had observed her acting like any normal bison might, mother bison might, chasing the bigger calf away from hers when they were playing too rough. But as we were sitting, they all came by briefly to sort of check us out. First the huge bull, then the other female, then the two calves, and finally Miracle. Upon doing so, however, she stopped, and she stood still before us, within reach, allowing her calf to frolic freely with the other in the distance. It was as if she understood our presence and decided to personify the goddess that we had come to visit. She wasn't tamed. Bisons are not even those raised on farms. And she let us know immediately we would not be able to make physical contact, that it was improper. It reminded me of that ancient belief that touching the sacred is profane, or that coming in contact with the totem is taboo. So instead, as is my custom, when I demonstrate reference for something I consider sacred, I prostrated myself 3 times. My son and Jim followed my example, and Miracle dropped her head low, right in front of me, enough for me to feel her breath blowing against my face. And I pulled some sweet grass that was beyond her reach and placed it on the ground in front of her, which she ate as an offering. She also remained with us, standing in that same spot throughout the entire sunset, never departing or moving or turning her attention toward her calf. She didn't leave us until sometime after dark, after we left. The next morning, she came and stood before us again, not leaving until it was time for us to go. Miracle's life was full of what Carl Jung would have called synchronicities, referring to those uncanny acausal connections between things or events, or what we might simply call lots of weird coincidences. According to the Lakota story, for example, white buffalo calf woman's return is supposed to signal the beginning of world peace. That's what she represents. Now, Miracle was born just across the street from a lake called Geneva, the name of the Swiss city where the United Nations office are headquartered. And the name of the road that she was born on is Avalon, same as the mythological island where a young boy retrieves Excalibur from the stone to become the legendary King Arthur. And a few years after my trip to Janesville, I was having lunch with Houston Smith in Indianapolis. Houston Smith was one of the world's leading experts on world religions, if you don't recognize his name, and the subject of Bill Moyer's 1996 five-part miniseries, The Wisdom of Faith with Houston Smith. Houston, who died at age 97 in 1916, not only studied world religions, but he practiced all of them. And during our lunch, I told him about Miracle, whom he'd never heard of because it was just so close, just a few hours away. His Holiness was there, he exclaimed with delight and disbelief. Wait till I tell Kendra, that's his wife, his spouse. This is the reason I came here, he said, even though he'd come to be the keynote speaker at a conference for Unitarian ministers. His thrill upon learning her story pleased me to no end. For me to be able to share a profound religious belief with somebody of his caliber and to have him be moved by it. Another sad synchronicity came September 19, 2004, when Miracle unexpectedly died. The same week, George W. Bush came to Janesville to address the blue-collar workers there while stumping for his re-election. It was odd, given that she'd been well cared for, hadn't been ill, and was just 10 years old, only a third of her normal lifespan. I couldn't help but wonder if the death of this symbol of peace, this peaceful being, wasn't some kind of cosmic response to the presence of a man who had begun 2 unholy wars, responsible for far more innocent civilian deaths than have occurred in Gaza during the past 2 years. As uncanny as her death was, exactly 9 months later, the gestation period for buffaloes like humans, another white buffalo was born. If you'll show the next image, Todd. More astonishing, the new calf was born only a few minutes from our home in Kentucky, not far from the state capital, on the border of a small town named Baghdad. Same as the name, of course, of the capital city in Iraq, where one of Bush's unholy wars was happening, although spelled without the H. Just as Miracle was born in Geneva, a place of world unity, on a street called Avalon, symbolizing her high status, it was as if she'd been symbolically reborn in a war zone, where her presence and message of peace and unity was most needed. Call it synchronicity, coincidence, mysterious, or just plain weird, the new calf's birth seemed a continuation of Miracle's own story and her peaceful purpose in the world. And I went to our whole family went to the new buffalo's naming ceremony, led by a local Native American tribe who named the still snow-white calf Conte Beute, which means medicine heart in the Lakota language, a name that represents their hope that she might heal the world. Could Medicine Heart have been White Buffalo Calf Woman's rebirth for a new generation? Todd, would you show the next image, please? For my daughter's generation, when she was still a child, she's 29 now. I can't explain the meaning of all of this and would rather just, as our song says, let the mystery be. What I will say is that my encounter with Miracle and her story has been among the most profound experiences in my life. It was an experience of awe and wonder that filled me with hope and gratitude and appreciation for the many mysteries of life that we are better off accepting than explaining. What I do understand is what it means to walk beside her along the course of our lives and to walk in harmony with all that is. But rather than merely explaining it, sometime after my encounter with her, I was inspired to write a song about what it means to see the world through her rainbow eyes. Until recently, being that I don't write music, I could only read it as a poem. But now, thanks to the magic of artificial intelligence, my Harry Potter-like powers have come to the surface, and you are among the very first to hear them as the inspiring song they were always meant to be.
I went searching for a vision with Jimmy Carter and my boy. We met a goddess in Wisconsin, north of Chicago, Illinois. She came walking off the mountain through the mists of Avalon, and though we could never hold her, she touched my friend and touched my son. She held my heart within her beauty, pulled this strong man to his knees. Jim and my boy fell down beside me as her breath became the breeze. She came to us white as snow on the first day of her birth, then turned brown and red and yellow like the people of the earth. She showed us how to live, she taught us how to give, to walk in harmony with all that is. She came to us with a mission, saw the world with rainbow eyes, pray in every direction, bless the earth and bless the skies, and see your own reflection in the face of everyone. Take what you need each day to live, learn to love and to forgive, walk in peace, wonder and beauty, revere all creatures great and small, offer thanks for every blessing and your heart to one and all. She came to us white as snow on the first day of her birth, then turned brown and red and yellow like the people of the earth. She showed us how to live, she taught us how to give, to be in harmony with all that is. She fell down one September, days before war reached her town. Now our hearts must still remember the great miracle we found. So we'll try to walk in beauty, and we'll try to live in peace, to fulfill our sacred duty, help awaken those who sleep, till white buffalo calf woman returns to walk the earth again. We'll give our thanks, care for the land, and treat all people as friends. She came to us white as snow, a sign of sacred birth, and blossomed into every shade, the colors of the earth. She taught us how to live, she taught us how to give, to live in harmony with all that is. She promised each generation she'd return to the promised land, teaching all the nations how to gather hand in hand. Who knew that I would live to see a new miracle reborn? 9 moons since the day she fell in a home broken and war-torn. Her tears of love, her healing heart can mend the wounds of pain. Give this violent world a brand new start, to live anew again. She came to us white as snow, a sign of sacred birth, then turned brown and red and yellow like the people of the earth. She showed us how to live, she taught us how to give, to join in harmony with all that is. She showed us how to live, she taught us how to give, to be in harmony with all that is. To be in harmony with all that is.
We are going to close now with the benediction. If you want to just join hands, gather together. Our time together is finished, but our work is not yet done. May our spirits be renewed and our purpose resolved as we meet the challenges of the weeks to come. Our chalice flame will be extinguished until once again ignited by the strength of our communion. Go now in peace. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum. Shalom.